What's up, guys? Emperor John Kill 3D Gaming here with another video, and I have to basically do this as a re-up, and I remade my Two Towers review because YouTube said that the first review was copyright. I don't understand how, but YouTube is always breaking its guidelines so they can get what they want said and done. So I am remaking my Two Towers review, making it even more transformative and putting much protection in place to make sure YouTube doesn't be a bunch of fucking pricks and have my video taken down for false copyright claims again, because I already have a fucking copyright strike because some pussies copyrighted The Last of Us Part 2 fanboy digital execution when there was no copyright content in that video. They still struck me for it. I demanded it be taken down, and YouTube basically said fuck me. So you know what, fuck them, I'm gonna make this video again. Anyway, the Lord of the Rings The Two Towers video game, released October 2002 to the PS2, to the Xbox, to the GameCube, to the PC, and the GBA. But we're gonna be covering the PS2 versions first, out of The Two Towers and The Return of the King, and then I will get into their GBA counterparts. There's also a couple other GBA Lord of the Rings based games that I'll get into, but for now I want to go to the one that really had us gamers at the time when video game movies were good. And this is what's going to shock everybody if you don't remember. It's clear whenever you see the game's artwork on the box. These games were published and made by EA. And you're probably wondering, wait, what? Yeah, how did EA make a good fucking licensed product at this time? Well, obviously they weren't shitheads that much back then, but this is how they did it. And they perfected it damn near for what you can do at the time. I mean, yes, this game is very old. It is old. Some mechanics in it, they're going to make people be like, oh, how did we play this? But when you think about it, the controls and fight in the Lord of the Rings games, the way this game plays, is used in many other games that you find today. Even later in the combat, if you were to combine the skill sets of Legolas and Aragorn, they play like Talion from the Shadow of Mordor series and Shadow of War, except, you know, they're not doing Assassin's Creed jumping and all that. But having the feel of the film, the sound effects from the film, the presentation, the detail, basically for 2002, this was as close to the film as you were gonna get. Now, the Two Towers game does cheat a little bit and fuse the Fellowship of the Ring and the Two Towers together. But I don't see that as a bad thing, because there's not a lot in the Two Towers film that you could have made a game off of. The only levels that you do get a game out of is the tutorial mission with Isildur, where you basically learn how to do the combat. Then you learn how to fight bosses with Aragorn by defending Frodo from the Nazgul. So you have basically two sets of tutorial missions. Then you go to Moria, the Battle of Amon Hen, which is to protect Frodo until he escapes with the ring, and then we'll jump into the Two Towers game. So you at least get 3 or 4 levels based in the Two Towers section of the game. And to think, the way you would look at it, if you looked at the menu, you'd be like, wait a minute, how is this game doesn't seem that long because of the levels? Well, the levels are not long, but if you play it straight through, this is about a good 5 to 6 hour experience. And you know what? For this game, that is fine, because then right when you beat it, you're gonna want to go back and beat it again. Okay? Now, there's a gripe. If you watched this game assumes you already know the films. Like back then, if you've seen the movies in the theaters, okay, you can understand, okay, the game's glossing over certain sections of the Fellowship of the Ring because most of the game has to take place within the Two Towers period. But it's for anyone that's new to the franchise, and if you're trying to get into the series and you only play the games, you will be a bit lost. But getting a hold of the movies now is not that expensive, and I highly recommend you sit through the trilogy, especially the extended cut, if you really want to have a good fulfillment of the trilogy. But these video games were perfect for someone like me back in the day, you know, because my experience with the Two Towers game was back in 2002, actually New Year's of 2002, and my uncle had a PlayStation 2 and he bought the game. And that New Year's Eve, we just spent playing it until midnight, and that was the first time I really got my first 3D action hack and slash beat 'em up, because this is what it is. It's a 3D hack and slash beat 'em up, linear beat 'em up, but the levels themselves, though the levels go on a very straight path, it's the environment, it's the sounds from the film, the music produced from Howard Shore, basically the actors came back in this game to do their voices, and it really feels like it melds well together. Everything melds well together. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some gripes. I do have a couple gripes when it comes to the enemies themselves, but these are just nitpicks. I'll get to those in a second. But the Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers game, gives you so much. Now, this is the gripe that I can actually mention now. Even though people would say, oh, this game doesn't need co-op because the Return of the King introduced co-op. We're not into the Return of the King yet, but yes, it did introduce co-op. But I'm going to explain to you right now why this game actually could have also benefited from a co-op, because you have 3 playable characters off the start. 1 unlockable, which is a sealed door once you beat the game as a bonus. Plus, there's a couple bonuses we'll talk about later when we get to that part of the video. But there's Aragorn, who basically plays like a well-rounded fighter. He's like a combination of Gimli and Legolas, because he can do heavy, light, and projectile weaponry, which is with a bow and arrow. Gimli is very strong, but he has throwing axes, but his speed, yes, is diminished, because it's not that he's a dwarf, it's just that you need to have characters balanced. Legolas is very fast, faster than Aragorn with the bow, and much faster with his blades, but in order to get in a kill effectively, you have to start doing combos. And the game rewards you to do the combat system. There's also exploration in these levels. You can explore to find little hidden items and bonuses that could actually help you on your journey, help strengthen your health. For Legolas, for example, I think you should go out and seek every little bonus item in the map, because it could increase your health and make it stronger if you're a Legolas fan. That's my tip for you, because if you play as Aragorn, you're going to breeze through this, at least until you get to Helm's Deep, where the game really, really wants to kick you in your ass. But anyway, levels like Balin's Tomb, if I can want to say it like this, levels like Balin's Tomb and the Fellowship of the Ring, levels like Amon Hen, kind of show you that yes and no, that you do not need co-op and that you do need co-op. What do I mean by that? Well, when you're playing all the way up to Moria, you can get a feel like, okay, I can do this on my own. The enemies aren't that difficult, but yes, as a kid, you're going to be like, oh, okay, these are the enemies in the game, goblins and orcs, but you do forget that the Uruk-hai are also a threat, because it's the Two Towers timeline mixed with the Fellowship timeline to just give you one consistent flow of both films. Now, to defeat your enemies, some will have shields, some will have spears, some will have projectiles. You will have a perfect rating meter that you can level up during the fight. By doing different combos, this meter will go up, and at the end of the level, it will give you a skill increase. You'll see how many you've killed with a good rank, a fair rank, perfect rank, or a great rank. You know, doing combos like square, triangle, circle, little things like that can build up that meter. Now, when I mentioned Balin's Tomb, now I'm going to mention Amon Hen. This is where I think you should have established a form of co-op, because there are parts in the game where you will be swarmed with these amount of enemies who are basically on par with you. Unlike the regular orcs, Uruk-hai are not easy to kill. You would think by Amon Hen, okay, you can take these guys. Yes, they're a little tough to take down, but the game went into such detail on how their strength and attacks are that it's almost to a detriment, because one swipe, you're on your ass. You're not dead, but you're being thrown on your fucking ass. But I can understand the strength of the Uruk-hai. And this brings into one of the game's objectives: defense, or killing an amount of enemies with a kill counter with a player or ally in danger. This is where Frodo would run, and you have to protect him, and then it ends with the boss battle with Lurtz from the film. Now, Lurtz didn't have the best AI. He was actually, Lurtz is the easiest boss in the game, but that is almost to misdirect you, because later on the bosses come at you as fierce fighting Uruk-hai. And it's going to be when we talk about the Helm's Deep section, because I have quite a few things to say when we get there. And the auto camera, though not the best, at least for the boss battles, it brings it in, and you can actually almost get a... You are going to get a one-on-one confrontation with the enemy, but they will have little enemies that spawn in to fight you like other Urukai, but that's to help you get a perfect meter to go up, so you can even get more experience and more benefit from fighting Lurtz, or fighting any boss like Shakra, the Warg Rider, from the film that threw Aragorn off the ledge. Like, he's a boss battle. Trolls, for example, are the boss battles. Not the online trolls. We battle those on a daily on YouTube. But actual big rock-chucking, lumber-throwing, fist-pounding trolls. Now, for Helm's Deep. The game you better have mastered the controls by this point. The Helm's Deep stage is going to put everything you knew of this game leading up to this point to the test. Helm's Deep is going to throw every enemy type at you. And Helm's Deep is a multi-phase level. You have to defend the wall, defend the breach in the wall down in the little little empty water area that was in the film when the wall or Uruk-hai is breached, and then defend the Hornburg, which is the main keep of the castle of Helm's Deep itself. Now, defending the wall isn't too bad. But this is where you will question the game design. I can understand, defend the wall, kick the ladders down, prevent the enemies from overrunning, but the enemies swarm at you so much. This is the part of the game that could have benefited from an enemy kill counter. Like, Amon had only had like probably 60 or 70. Here, I think it would have been fair to probably maybe kill 200 to 250 orcs or Uruk-hai to defend the wall while kicking down the ladders to prevent yourself from getting swarmed, but don't have a meter for the swarming. Have the enemies come in so much abundance that you will get overwhelmed, but overwhelmed as the player to where you can fight your way out of it. Now, I know some would say, oh, it takes skill to do it. Not really. You just have to know what you're doing, be strong enough level before you get to Helm's Deep, and you can actually fly through it pretty smoothly, but you will hit a difficulty spike with the last two phases of the boss battle, or the stage itself of Helm's Deep, because Helm's Deep does throw bosses at you, and these bosses are just fucking ungodly, like a catapult with a harpoon on it that comes into the breaching wall. 3 trolls in the gate's breach itself. Enemies that explode. Sometimes I question the effectiveness of the battle because I'm thinking, okay, how the fuck did you just kill yourselves and I'm the only one that has to defend the deeping wall? See, that's just the little shit that I question. Couldn't a fucking ton of elves can at least come off the wall now? Because why are the orcs gonna be climbing when they're just coming through the damn hole? That is beyond me. But defending the door is where you will also have a gripe, because it is very, very tough. The enemies will bypass you to a degree, and you can take advantage to kill them, but once they start hitting the door, they will take chunks out of the door. And the moment that goes, you instantly fail. And these game over screens, oh my god, seeing the game over screens in this, even though I didn't capture any of the game over screens, here's a game over screen for example. I'm going to give you an example of one. If you fail Amon Hen and they capture Frodo, Lurtz punches Frodo so fucking hard that I think it killed him. Like, he was running and all you saw, thwap, knocked him ass down. Now, the final stage of Amon Hen, oh no, Amon Hen, goddamn, Amon Hen, fucking Helm's Deep, every enemy, and then this is where you're gonna hear some rage for a second. Every enemy in the fucking game is coming after you. You have to defend the door. You have to defend your allies when their health starts popping up. Why are they away from the fucking door is beyond me to begin with. And every enemy, if they're not gunning for the door, they're gonna gun for you. You're gonna get gunned by fucking goblins, orcs, spearmen orcs, dual-wielding axe orcs, Uruk-hai, archers, and then trolls, and then berserker Uruk-hai. I forgot to talk about that enemy type. There's berserker Uruk-hai. You remember the Uruk-hai that he blew himself up on purpose? That son of a bitch. He will come in. Multiple will actually come in and ruin your fucking day. Every boss expects you to get good. If you thought Dark Souls and Demon Souls created that mentality, no the fuck it did not. It was the Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers. Because I didn't even have this kind of problem when I got to the fucking Return of the King. But the problem is, once I beat this game, it gives you that euphoria of like if you beating or accomplishing something in Dark Souls. I mean, to defeat a dark, if you're an inexperienced player, it would take 5 hours or 6 to train and defeat a boss. Where here, in 5 to 6 hours, your freaking skills are being tested to defend a damn door. This is another level that would highly benefit from at least a kill counter, or just defend your allies. Maybe they make that just their health, because they're not that hard to protect. You could just get to them, situation cleared, haul ass back to the door. But this is what I'm saying. This level did not need another fucking defense mission of 2 to 3 objectives, because you not only have to defend the door, you gotta defend Legolas and Gimli. Why? I don't know. I can understand the hobbits. That if they had a life counter, but they aren't in this part. And I understood how Frodo had one when you were doing his mission, but his was more of a timer down type situation, time going down, than him being, hurt or killed basically. But here, this is one of the times that I have to gripe. If I was to count up all my gripes, it would be the auto camera. They should have just give you a free moving camera, and given more different objectives changed to the final battle. Because don't get me wrong, Helm's Deep is a fun battle in any game it's portrayed in, but it needed to be changed just a little bit. It needed more, what's the word I'm looking for? Less bullshit to throw at you, okay? Fucking Urukai are monsters. But then if you get by that and beat the game, you will unlock bonuses, which is actually cool and in a way worth getting. You will get a survival mode inside of Orthanc, which is Saruman's tower. You get to unlock and play as Isildur, who is basically, you're playing the game on God mode, because if you don't even need to use the cheat codes for infinite health, infinite arrows, or always hit perfect skills, Isildur alone is a fucking tank. And this was I got so excited when I beat the game just to play as Isildur, because I went back through the game, and once I got to the Deeping Wall and all that, the wall was shit at that point. But that's just weird how it takes a character from the Second Age to fucking come into Helm's Deep and call it a day. And yes, he plays just like Aragorn. He has Aragorn's skill set. It's almost like, yeah, it's a copy and paste type thing, but something about playing Isildur is more unique. Isildur hits harder. He can sustain more damage. Isildur, even though he has no dialogue in the game, and he's just taking the place of Aragorn in the cutscenes, and he doesn't even speak, he'll just, take Aragorn's cutscenes. That's okay. It makes you want to go back and perfect rank the game or these levels with someone like him. Now, you can't use him in the Ringwraith stage, but I can understand that's an Aragorn set piece, and Isildur already had a set piece at the beginning. But it gives you an idea of how he plays, and he has max armor. Despite having max health, Isildur has an armor rank that you can rank up to the other characters by finding the objective marker, not objective marker, but finding the little special objective items in the world to increase it. Isildur automatically gets a full bar of this, and he can hit an Urukai like they're fucking nothing. He could take a hit from an Urukai like they're nothing. One swipe to the neck from Isildur to an Urukai puts your ass down. And when you put cheat codes on, it just makes the game so much more fun to go through, because then you get to go back and basically shit on the enemies that were shitting on you. Like the Bazooka Urukais, for one, who expect you to have precision fucking timing to kill the son of a bitch. But it made the game memorable nonetheless. By today's standards, gamers might think this game is ancient, but it still holds up, and it still holds up to a Lord of the Rings fan like myself. I still enjoyed the game despite its gripe. It's part of my childhood, and I love it so much that I can admit my issues with it. The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, is great if you can emulate it and play it with mods. To my PC friends on my Discord, I recommend you do so if you want a piece of gaming history, or at least movie license history when games were really good. Or if you have the original hardware, seek it out, play it on its original hardware. If you can upscale it somehow through the original hardware, hey, more power to you. And if I was to rate this game right now, at least in this day and age when it comes to classics, it still holds up as a solid 8. But we have another game to get into soon, which is its sequel, The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. But we're not there yet. I covered The Two Towers. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I hope this has been informative if you decide to look into it. This has been Emperor John, Kill 3D Gaming. Be sure to like, subscribe, favorite, and hopefully YouTube doesn't be a bitch. See you guys later.